Mike Davis. He's a former Senate Judiciary Committee counsel. He's a constitutional law attorney, and he's up late with me tonight here on the Final Five.
And Mike Davis joins us now here on the Final Five tonight. Mike, I appreciate you joining us. I know it's been a busy 24 hours for you.
Thank you for having me.
Let's first of all get right to it. I mean, the indictment came down. We knew it was likely going to come this week. It came down late last night. A lot of speculation about what was going to be in it. Once you saw this, once you saw the details, what went through your head?
I looked through it and I read through it a couple more times, and I said that it is loud, it is long, and it is lawless. And this is part of the Democrats' Lawfare campaign against President Trump that started a year ago with the unprecedented home raid on President Trump for the non-crime of a former president having his presidential records, which is allowed by the Presidential Records Act. Jack Smith indicted him for that. But before Jack Smith indicted him for that, this Manhattan DA, Soros-funded Manhattan DA, Alvin Bragg, indicted Trump for the first time in American history. A former president was indicted for the non-crime of a businessman settling a nuisance claim. And then you had Jack Smith's indictment for the presidential records. And then Jack Smith recently indicted again 30 months after President Trump left office for the non-crime of a presidential candidate objecting to a presidential election, which is allowed by the Electoral Count Act of 1887, and twisting arms politically is allowed by the First Amendment. And then Fani Willis, not to be outdone, brought an indictment in Fulton County, Georgia, another Democrat hellhole like New York and D.C. down in Atlanta, for the non-crime of Trump objecting to a presidential election and twisting arms politically.
So when we look at the charges, a lot of people looked at the Alvin Bragg case, and I think I heard it from both sides, where there was a lot of nothing there. Then we had the two federal indictments. Now we have Georgia here, and you mentioned Fani Willis. I do believe people like you, you've been advocating for the legal perspectives, the legal arguments against her case. The former president has taken the tack of saying that she's had affairs with gang members, connecting her to the Black Panthers. I'm seeing a different approach here from the former president, and it is his right to defend himself, because in all of these cases he's innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah, I mean, he should be out there. This is lawfare against President Trump. If these Democrat prosecutors were actually concerned about the law and the criminal justice system, they would not have waited 30 months to bring these indictments, to time it, to have these. They wanted to wait 30 months to bring these indictments, and then they demand a speedy trial that just happens to be smack dab in the middle of the Republican primary and the general election. The general election. This is clearly lawfare. They clearly fear that President Trump may beat President Biden or Governor Newsom on November 5th, 2024. So they are running lawfare against Trump to try to take him out legally, because they fear him politically.
You made the rounds again today, and something you brought up is you believe that House Republicans, that they can and they should do something to put the brakes on these investigations.
Yeah, House Republicans, it seems like the D.C. swamp is the only place on the planet where the reptiles lack backbones, and Republicans are certainly in that camp in Washington, D.C. House Republicans should move forward immediately with an impeachment inquiry on President Biden for his clear foreign bribes and other corruption, and his weaponization of his Justice Department to go after Trump. They need to open an impeachment inquiry on Attorney General Merrick Garland for coddling and protecting President Biden with his clear corruption, and also for being President Biden's foot soldier in politicizing and weaponizing the Justice Department to go after Trump, Trump's top aides, Trump supporters, Christians praying outside of abortion clinics. It just never ends. Parents at school board meetings in Loudoun County, Virginia. The House Republicans need to open an impeachment inquiry. They need to do oversight, aggressive oversight, including Fani Willis refused to say whether she coordinated with the Biden Justice Department and Jack Smith last night at her press conference. And so they need to get those records. They need to have staff depositions, and ultimately they need to cut off federal funding. They need to do two appropriations riders. Number one, no federal funds may be used to prosecute a major presidential candidate on or before November 5th, 2024. And number two, any state or local jurisdiction that prosecutes a major presidential candidate honored before November 5th, 2024 loses all federal funding. And the point of that is that the American people, not Democrat prosecutors and Democrat judges and Democrat juries and Democrat hellholes like New York, D.C., and Atlanta, get to pick the next president of the United States. And so this is clear election interference, and they can wait till after the election if they want to prosecute Trump, because they waited 30 months to bring these charges.
Last thing I want to ask you is, in this case, in the Georgia case, there's going to be at least a layer of transparency that we haven't seen before with cameras. But something that happened yesterday, Reuters found a list on the Fulton County website of charges involving the former president before the grand jury even voted. That got pulled down very quickly. Things like that lead a lot of people, even if they're on the fence about something like this, to think there might be something up there.
And then the clerk's office lied and said that it was fake, but the indictment that subsequently came out publicly matched what was posted on the website, right? So this is shenanigans. And look, I would say that the cameras in the courtroom is the best thing that could happen for President Trump, because it's going to guarantee that President Trump is back in the White House after November 5th, 2024. And I hope your D.C. viewers who are 95% Trump deranged, I hope it's their nightmare between now and November 5th, 2024.
Well, I think when you look outside the district, Mike, I think we know a lot of people in Virginia. We dig pretty deep into Virginia and Maryland, and they may feel a different way about that. But we appreciate it. Mike Davis, thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
And the Final Five is back after this.